I think Mike Joy stated it best when Truex won in Las Vegas in 2017. He was money at Las Vegas. But yeah, Martin Truex Jr. opens up the playoffs with a nice little woohoo, good stuff win. Get some momentum for that team, add 6 playoff points, won stage 2 and won the race. So very good start to the playoffs for the 19 team. Obviously, they were in a tight bundle with Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski. They were all in a tight bundle, Kevin Harvick as well. With those playoff points, if it did come down to points for the championship four, so Truex add some playoff points to make a little bit of a separation from those guys. Joey Logano also did add a stage point. He won stage 1, but there was a lot of ups and downs for some playoff drivers. There were some guys who had surprisingly really good days, just added some points considering their positions, and there were some guys who had really bad days and are now in desperation mode next weekend at the Roval. So we will go through all of that. Let's just get right into it. Kevin Harvick was passed by Martin Truex Jr. with about, 20 to go. Somewhere around there, he got passed by Truex. Truex was just better car, and then Truex ended up passing him, pulling away for the win, and then Harvick ends up getting second. Good day for him. He got 51 points on the day, so he has a good points gap on 12th place. So he's not in any desperate situation or even any just get a good finish. He can go out and probably run 17th next week and still have a good-sized gap going into the Roval. Brad Keselowski, up and down day for him. At one point, they put up the hood on that car because they thought there was something wrong with it. They went to adjust something inside the engine because he was running 20th. He just had no speed. Something was wrong with the car. Whatever it was, they fixed it. He ends up getting a third-place finish. My championship pick gets himself a top 5 start off the playoffs, and he does have a good amount of playoff points, so he should have a good gap on the cut. I might do a playoff bubble update tomorrow. I don't know, but I'm still doing that championship series, so it's up in the air for tomorrow. Chase Elliott had a fast car all day, led a few laps here and there, but ends up getting a top 5. He ran top 10 most of the race. Solid day for him, gets a good points day. Ryan Blaney ends up finishing in the 5th position. He was running about top 10-ish, maybe a little bit outside of the top 10, but he ends up with the top 5 on the day. Really good for him and that team considering where they qualified 23rd. The Penske guys did not qualify too well. Same for Martin Truex Jr. He qualified 24th, ends up coming up winning the race. So good day for those guys. Alex Bowman 6th. He's another poor qualifying guy. Ends up getting a top 10. He was my pick to win this race, of course, but he ends up getting 6th. A good day for him. He ended up coming through the field a little bit. He ended up getting a nice top 10 finish for his point situation, considering he didn't have a big gap on the cutoff in the first place. He now has, I'm assuming, a little bit more breathing room. 7th is William Byron. Another one of those guys with an up and down day. He made some contact with Ryan Blaney on the backstretch. Byron ended up getting a tire rub and ended up spinning out because the tire blew on his left rear. No major damage, just had to switch the tires, saved his lap, and he ended up getting a 7th place finish, so a good points day for him as well. Good finish for him and that team. They just needed a good finish on the day. Kyle Larson finishes 8th. Good day for him. He ran the top 10, top 5, contending for the lead a little bit. He ends up getting a top 10. Very much needed points day for him. Joey Logano, probably the best car all day, won this race in the spring. He led 105 laps before sustaining some damage after a restart. That kind of ruined his day. He ends up getting a top 10 out of it, though, and does get a playoff point from winning stage 1. 10th place, Ryan Newman. Very surprising. I did not expect him to do so well in the first round of the playoffs, just considering the speed they have had. They just haven't had as much speed as some of these playoff guys. But once again, Ryan Newman finding out a way to finish very well, even though he didn't collect any stage points. He finds a way to get a very good finish. Ahead of some of these guys, he's fighting for playoff position. 11th and 12th are 2 non-playoff drivers. Jimmy Johnson finishes 11th after being eliminated from the playoffs. And 12th was Austin Dillon. Good qualifying day for him and ends up getting a good finish as well. Good days for both of those guys. They both qualified inside the top 10, end up finishing just outside. 13th, Eric Almirola. He was in the top 5 for a bit. I think he finished 2nd or 3rd in stage 1. After that, the car just fell off a little bit. He ends up getting a nice top 15, getting a few points, but still going to want some more, I'm assuming, to catch up to some of these guys on the bubble. 14th, Paul Menard. 15th, Denny Hamlin, not the day that Denny Hamlin wanted to have, as he had a nice little buffer on playoff points. And a lot of guys that were back deep in the field, Larson, Almirola, Bowman, Newman, just finishing in front of him. Obviously, Denny Hamlin's probably still going to have a somewhat of a gap going into Richmond, but he would have preferred a better day, obviously. 16th, Ty Dillon. 17th, Daniel Hemrick. 18th, Chris Buescher. Kyle Busch, up and down day. Lap 5, he smacked the wall, had to come in for some damage, went a couple laps down. Just kept fighting through the day. He does this all the time. He's done it at Bristol a couple times before. He gets in an early incident, and he ends up coming back. He ends up fighting. He gets back on the lead lap. He's battling for a top 10, top 5 spot. And when he was battling for a top 10 spot, he ran into the back of the 52, a Rick Ware racing car. Good old Rick Ware. Rear-ended him, and it just jacked up the front of his car. He couldn't turn it. It was super tight. He had to back way off just so he wouldn't crash it, and he salvages a 19th place finish. He looked like he was going to be great, end up having a great day compared to where it started, but ends up kind of is probably what he's thinking, but apparently I read something online, and he is not too thrilled about it. 20th, Daniel Suarez. He had a great start to the day, led 29 laps, ends up finishing 20th, that's all I'll say. 21st, Matt DiBenedetto, the People's Champ, led 9 laps due to strategy, Barstool Sports on that car. Obviously, Barstool Sports was 10 out of 10 supporting this race, and they were definitely advertising the heck out of it on Twitter and whatnot. So good to see new sponsors in the sport. Good to see just some broad advertisement to a wider audience for NASCAR. 22nd, I was on 21st. 22nd, David Reagan. 23rd, Bubba Wallace. 24th, Michael McDowell. 25th, Clint Boyer. Clint Boyer started on pole. Didn't go his way. Just kept on going downhill. Didn't get stage points in stage 1. Stage 2. Ends up finishing 25th. Bad day for them. 26th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 27th, Ryan Preece. 28th, Corey LaJoie. 29th, Landon Castle. 30th, Matt Tiff. 31st, Ross Chastain. 32nd, J.J. Yaley. 33rd, B.J. McLeod. 34th, Joe Nemechek. 35th, Garrett Smithley. 36th, Eric Jones. Eric Jones had a mechanical problem. He said he was stuck in second gear or something. Just one of the restarts he wouldn't go. So they took it behind the wall to the garage. Fixed that problem. He ends up finishing a lot of laps down, 15 or so laps down to get 36. So he is in a big gap considering he only had 5 playoff points. Bad start for them, just like last year. They had a really poor start to the playoffs, and once again in the deep hole that they're going to need to probably win if they cannot make up these points next week at Richmond. 37th, Reed Swardson. 38th, Joey Gase. And 39th, Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch, we've talked about him being underrated all year. Made some contact on restart, and as the lap he was going to pit, blows the left front, crashes. They said that they were going to eventually let him stay out, but it didn't matter because he ended up crashing that lap anyways. But bad day for Kurt Busch. He did get some stage points in there, so 8 points on the day. But other than that, very bad. They are now below the cutoff line by 10 or so points, I believe. But bad day for some of these playoff drivers. Jones, Kurt Busch. They're going to have to make up some points. Boyer. But then there's some guys like Harvick, Elliott, Keselowski, that they have built themselves a little bit of a buffer between them and the playoff guys, like way down there. And then some guys like Blaney and Bowman, who were very close to the cutoff line but had good enough days that they probably built up a little bit of a gap there. So lots of storylines going on with this playoff stuff, the playoff drama. I'm sure we'll see a lot of it next week at Richmond, a short track, and then, of course, the Roval. But bubble preview, bubble update thingy mabob tomorrow most likely. Then another championship case. I don't know who's next on the list. Whoever was 8th in the standings at the beginning of the playoffs. And then, So thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, leave it a big fat like. And if you would like to subscribe, you're going to subscribe.